Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, doom and gloom for the Yankees and Aaron Judge. Just about the worst possible news as you can imagine. Maybe the only thing will be worse than that, find out that he's not going to be available for the rest of the season, but going to be out for a chunk of time. Probably going to miss almost the entire summer. The Dynamics come down on this mystery rib/shoulder injury that it's actually a stress fracture in the first rib on the right side. Now, so he's going to be shut down indefinitely, and the plan for him is going to be off his feet, I guess, in terms of baseball activity, 4 to 6 weeks. From there, then they're going to reevaluate to see if he needs to take more time off or if he can rejoin the team. But if you're the Yankees and a Yankee fan, you're pretty much looking for no Aaron Judge for the rest of June and probably at least maybe even July as well at this point, or at least maybe the first half of July before we can even imagine him coming back and joining the team. Obviously, somewhat of a back-breaking news because we know some other good players the Yankees got going with Ben Rice and Cody Bellinger. Maybe Jazz starting to hit and finally break out of it and all that. And Volpe seeming to hold down the fort at least so far there. But still, you need the captain, you need Aaron Judge. We've seen what happens in the past without him. The team completely tanks, especially offensively. So bitter news for the Yankees, but we'll get into the whole thing. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcast. There's also the YouTube version of the show. Go to YouTube, search for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe there as well. So Judge, against the first game of Cleveland, was out of the lineup. His first time in the entire season. He sat out a game. I kind of covered it in the most recent YouTube episode. He's been complaining about shoulder discomfort. And, at least we thought it was shoulder-wise for the past couple of weeks. He's been playing with this, but seemingly when they went on the recent road trip and it was in Sacramento against the Athletics, where he was really starting to feel it. So that's why the decision was made to keep him out of the lineup against the opening games against Cleveland. Sat out the next 2 games. He was waiting for results from an imaging test. And, at first I was more optimistic about it. I figured maybe it's just a little soreness there and just keep him off his feet a little bit. I figured, look, if there was something wrong with him, they would have put him on the IL right away just to get him back right away there, not let this linger too long. But the fact that they were stringing us out and it's all right, let's just give him a few days. I felt that was an optimistic thing, that he was going to come back sooner. Well, I guess I was way off and really didn't have it on my bingo card, anything with rib fractures or anything like that. I figured, all right, maybe at worst, maybe a kind of bone bruise situation like with Max Fried there. But according to Dr. Gregory J. Pearl, who ran the special imaging, diagnosis as a stress fracture in the top right rib there, which kind of makes sense because that pain, maybe shoots up to your shoulder, especially, when you're trying to swing there. And this is not the first time for Aaron Judge. Back in 2019, had something similar on a diving catch. Ended up actually having a stress fracture of his rib there, as well as a collapsed lung. So, kind of Judge, we all see what he does there. He makes these diving catches. He goes all out, which, great, you make the play and stuff like that. But he's a big dude. Imagine all that weight, 250 plus pounds or whatever, or at least 230 maybe, whatever he is, come crashing down on the right side of your body. Well, yeah, you might break or crack something. So, probably that's the case. We don't know exactly where and when this happened there, but he doesn't bang on the wall a ton there. I'm just guessing it's probably on one of those many diving catches he makes. Maybe, click something there, or even maybe during the, the World Baseball Classic, we also made some diving catches. Maybe could have tweaked something there. And then the whole issue with them, even, at the start of the season, just wasn't looking like Aaron Judge. He was hitting his home runs and stuff, but batting average wise, was at 248, which is not Aaron Judge like. And the batting average was never great so far in the 2026 campaign. So who knows how long he was dealing with this, but at least according to him, it's been a couple weeks. But, he could have even started something back before the season, and it just kept maybe a little crack in the dam there, and it finally, got to a point where it just got worse and worse and worse, and now we are where we are right now for the Yankees. Now, look, I would say in years past it was more devastating for the Yankees because the Yankee lineup wasn't as good and fluid as it was. Man, we had to rely on Josh Donaldson and Gallo and Rizzo and Hicks, DJ LeMahieu, players who were either way past their prime or not good anymore. So when Judge was out of the lineup, you saw the offense completely tank anytime he needed to go on the IL. Now, I don't think that's exactly the case this time around. They're going to struggle. We just all know it's going to happen. But at least I think this Yankee team is a little better to equip that type of scenario versus years past. Just offensively, I think this is better. Just for the fact of we don't have to rely on Donaldson. We're not relying on Rizzo and Gallo and DJ LeMahieu and Hicks. And again, players are kind of past their prime already where you figure out who else is going to do anything on this team. At least the Yankees are better suited this time around with the likes of Cody Bellinger, with the likes of Ben Rice. Jazz needs to wake it up a little bit. But again, the team is overall a little bit better, as well as the pitching staff, especially the starting pitching staff, to weather this type of storm. And you saw what the Yankees did there in the final game against Cleveland, wiggled a 2-1 win thanks to some strong strong pitching now by Carlos Rodon, who's put down back-to-back good quality starts, and that's the only way the Yankees are going to weather this. Again, you're going to miss Aaron Judge. Just his presence in the lineup, the way he draws walks, obviously the intimidation factor, hits the home runs, of course. But even if they pitch around Judge and walk Judge gets on base, and the guy, Ben Rice behind him get hit, or if they put Bellinger behind him, get crack a 2-run homer. So, yeah, Judge, he helps everyone up and down the lineup. So if he's not in there, yeah, it's going to have an effect on anybody. But again, 2026 Yankees is the better equipped than like the 2021 or the 2022 Yankees to deal with the absence of Aaron Judge, and it's going to be a significant amount of time. So the plan for him is to be shut down completely to 4 to 6 weeks. Then from there, re-image the rib there and see if it's healed. Do they need to take more time off? And from there, we'll get what the plan is moving forward. But overall, they're saying right now that he should rejoin the team sometime this year. But the way they say that, though, that could be August, that could be September there. So don't look to have Aaron Judge back anytime soon. Pretty much going to be missing a large portion, at least 2/3 of the summer, if that, maybe even a little bit more there. So again, kind of devastating news for the Yankees. Now, other than the team being better than previous Yankee teams, especially with the pitching staff, I think the other little saving grace that this is happening at this time is that the AL East and frankly the American League in general is not that good this season so far. So the Yankees right now, after all the panicking of a couple weeks ago, falling 7 games behind Tampa Bay Rays, they've actually stumbled a little bit as well. Yankees right now only a half game back out of first place of the AL East. And then if you look behind the Yankees, again, it doesn't get much better. You got both Toronto and Baltimore about 8 games back. Then you have like Boston 11 games back. So even the Yankees stumble a little bit, which they're going to do. You'll pray for 500 baseball. I don't know if you're going to even get that. You're probably going to get under 500 baseball. But nevertheless, again, the rest of the AL East is not that good there. So, again, even the Yankees, have to kind of hold down the fort a little bit and to take some, heavy losses and some rough weeks. It's not like the rest of the division stacked where they're going to find themselves out of the AL East completely in a couple of weeks. That's not going to be the case. Obviously Tampa is going to give them a run, and, maybe the Yankees drop 3 or 4 games back, maybe 5 games back, but it could be a lot worse if the rest of the division was better. And again, even the rest of the American League, the Central and the West, you're not overall blown away by anybody is there. So, that's down the road there. Obviously, if the Yankees, you still want to go for the AL East. The difference of being a division winner champion, even if you can get a bye in the first round and host a series versus being on the road, does make a difference there. But again, we'll have to have those conversations later on. That's as those plans will be. Probably you weren't thinking about that sooner, but now you might have to think about that. And maybe when all is said and done, maybe the Yankees end up being a wild card team because that's just the way it is. But if you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks now, just right now as we stand here, that's about almost the second week in July, where that's not even about him rejoining the team. That's just going to be him being re-imaged to see what they, does he need to take more time off? Can he start a rehab assignment there? So again, this could linger for the rest of July, even going to August right now. So you really can't put a timetable on this, but quite a blow for the Yankees. Now, in terms of other moves you can make, so we have Spencer Jones down in AAA. I don't know if they're in really a rush to bring him back, but in the near term, Jason Dominguez, who took batting practice this past Wednesday, will begin a rehab assignment Friday, June 5th. From seemingly the reporting is that the plan for him is to play a few minor league games, and then from there, he'll qualify to be moved up to the active roster. So maybe by next week or maybe the week after, that will be the week of June 15th. I think it could be a little sooner. At least Jason Dominguez could come up here, and then you can move some guys around. Obviously, you could put Dominguez in left and move Cody Bellinger to play right field. And Dominguez, he was starting to hit a little bit, unfortunately, when he ended up running into the wall. That was the afternoon games against Texas. He obviously, with a shoulder sprain doing that, but also banged his head against the wall a bit as well. And maybe this little concussion protocol as well there, just to keep him away from baseball activities for a little bit. But that's probably the more near-term solution. And on the same Wednesday as well, Giancarlo Stanton, for the first time, took live batting practice on the field against Angel Civilli. So he was taking, again, he was using the Traject batting practice machine there, but actually taking, for the first time this past Wednesday, live batting practice. But that still means he's kind of a ways away as well. Boone said actually the other day that Giancarlo Stanton, the fact that he's a veteran and kind of been here, done that and all that stuff and kind of used to being shut down for long periods of time and being put back up, that he may not need a rehab assignment. In fact, once he's ready, he might just go right back into the pinstripes, for the Yankees, which I guess big good news is getting back to, obviously, with Judge down, you do need some right-handed power from somewhere else, and obviously Giancarlo Stanton, not going to be as good as Judge there, but at least a little shot of good news there, and what is devastating news right now at the moment. But again, it's probably still a couple of weeks away before you get both Dominguez Dominguez and Stanton back. And Spencer Jones, again, he's an option there. I just want to keep him down there because I don't know if you're going to bring him back up. And then if Dominguez comes back up, you send Jones back down there. I just think they're going to prioritize Dominguez over Spencer Jones right now at this very moment. So that's it for the Yankees. News not great. Obviously Judge is going to be out probably for a good chunk of the summer, so you really can't sugarcoat that. But I just think this 2026 Yankees, that is a little bit better in the pitching staff, especially the starting pitching staff and with the roster up down to at least weather it a little better than they had to in years past. Not going to say it's going to be pretty, and you're definitely going to skip a huge beat, and it's going to affect some other guys in the lineup like a Ben Rice now, where maybe they feel they could walk Ben Rice or they could pitch around him, not give him a good pitch hit. So it's going to affect guys up and down the lineup, and obviously we know what's gone on with the Yankees the past couple of summers. It's been dreadful. This is usually when they go into their long funks and people get upset and they go on these long losing streaks and they look lethargic, and people like fire Boone, fire Cashman. So could we see some of that coming up? Probably. Even Garrett Cole getting smacked around a little bit the other day. I just think with the pitching staff, I just think they're much better to weather this than years past. So I don't think it'll be as brutal. I always try to be a little bit more positive than usual, but I don't think it'll be as brutal. But yeah, you're going to miss Aaron Judge certainly, and he's going to be gone for a while. But again, I think this is a little bit of a better Yankee team to weather that. And this fact that the American League East, only team really worrying about is Tampa. Everyone else you're looking down at. I don't see like Baltimore just being amazing in the second half. Boston looks completely lost. I mean, even David Ortiz is saying like the owner's worried. He doesn't know what the hell is going on right now there. So I'm not worried about any other team than Tampa right now. And as good as they've been, they're not exactly a super juggernaut where that is going to take off for the AL East there. So again, if the Yankees just weather the storm for a while, get a couple of pieces back, and then again, hope Judge could come back, whether it's going to be late July or August. Again, you can't really put a timetable on that. Don't lose too much of a grip on the AL East. So mostly bad news for the Yankees there, but you're going to keep trudging on there. The summer's here, and you just got to hope for the best. And again, get a couple of pieces back and take it as you can. Catch you next time.